welcome to Men's Leadership Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today, and it's an exciting day. I'm sitting here with Stephen Wright, and Stephen is an amazing man of God, and I'm so thankful to be here with him. So, Stephen, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. It's awesome.
This is great.
Yeah.
So, hey, tell us about your upbringing, kind of your family, and how you met Shannon.
So I grew up in Moreno Valley. Well, we bounced around a lot, but most of my adolescent years was in Moreno Valley, California. Just playing baseball pretty much my whole life. Went to school, thought I was going to get drafted. I didn't sign, go to Hawaii on a scholarship, full ride. Tried to leave 2 years in a row. I tried to bounce and leave. And I met Shannon my freshman year, but I was not right with God. I was partying and all that, and she was kind of doing not godly things. And so then my junior year, I started to really get back into Bible studies, and it was crazy. It was a midweek game, and I was kind of on the popular side as far as the team goes. And you're in Hawaii, so there's thousands of people, so you're like the Predators here, you're a celebrity. Yeah. And so I hardly ever stood up on the top step, but for some reason I was, and I heard this girl calling my name, and I knew who it was because she lived next door to me in the dorms 2 years before. And I was reluctant to turn around, but I did. And thank God I did, because Shannon was sitting next to her. Oh. And so then I wrote my number on a ball, because I hadn't seen her for years. And I remember telling my roommate, I was like, I'm going to marry that girl. And I was like, it's more of a joke. But then I saw her and I was like, I haven't seen her in years. So I wrote my number on a ball, threw it up to her. And then we just started hanging out. And then, I get drafted, go to the Indians. And then we just ended up getting married 2 years later.
That's awesome.
Crazy, huh?
Great story. I love that.
Yeah.
So when did you realize, hey, I'm going to maybe make it to the bigs? Here you are out of Hawaii, but, I'm going to make it.
I mean, it's a long question, because of the fact that, when I got drafted, I was a second rounder, which is there's first round, and I was second round, so I was a second pick. So I thought, man, this is gravy. I'm good. I get a big bonus. I'm good. But then I go to people understand baseball, you go to the minor leagues.
Yeah, wow.
And it's and now you're competing. Even though you got more money, it doesn't matter. You're all equal. And that's when it started struggling, because it's an everyday thing. It's a consistency thing. And then I was doing well, but every year, because of the second draft status, I always got moved up, even if I wasn't doing that good. It's just political wise, they have to try to prove that you're worth what they gave you. Yeah. And so every year I kind of went up, and then 2009 I had the best season of my life. I went 10-0 with a 2-something in AA. I thought, I'm good. And then 2010, I don't get a big league invite. Really? And other guys, and that's when I started comparing myself. I was like, dude, this guy had a way worse numbers than me. And that's when I started struggling. I started in AAA, which I thought was, a little give me, because a couple guys got hurt. But then I struggled. And then I got sent down to AA, which was the first time in my life I ever got demoted. Yeah. And so that was that hit me hard. And it just, that's when I was I don't know if I can do this. And then towards the end of that season, I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do. I was throwing the knuckleball on the mound as a joke to see if the catcher could catch it. Well, he couldn't catch it. And what I didn't know was our pitching coach and one of our GM assistants was there on the pitching side, this guy named Jason Beret, and I didn't know they were watching me. And so one of the things I was struggling with was an out pitch. I'd get guys to 2 strikes, and I couldn't I didn't have anything that they were afraid of. Yeah. So they wouldn't chase. And so it's and if you understand baseball, you got to have something that just wipes them out. You got to have something that they're afraid of, to where they're more reluctant to swing earlier in the count at pitches out of the zone. I didn't have that. But then this knuckleball came around, and they were like, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And so I started throwing it as an out pitch. So I'm still throwing low to mid-90s with the knuckleball. And then in 2011, I came in, best shape of my life, worked out, didn't play winter ball at all. And then they were like, hey, we want you to do that full time. So I go from throwing 95 to trying to throw a pitch at 70, and I just was terrible.
Really?
Could not do it. I'd have moments, and then 2011, I decided to go to winter ball to try to work on it. I threw it like 5 times the whole winter. I come back, I was like, I can't do this. And so then the Indians were like, what do you need? And so I started working with Charlie Huff, started working with him a little bit, and it just clicked. And then 2012, I do great, get traded to the Red Sox at the deadline, and then the next year I was in the big leagues.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like when they tapped you on the shoulder and said you're going to the bigs?
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Really?
You know, because of the fact that I got called up the day that the bombs went off for the Boston Marathon. Like,
Wow.
we were watching it because we had a night game, they had a day game, and then after the day game, Patriots Day, they have the marathon.
Yeah.
And so we're watching there, and they tapped me on the shoulder, and they told me, they're like, hey, you're going up to the big leagues, but we're not making it public because of some moves that needed to be done up at the top. And so, like, I mean, you're definitely crying. You know, you're trying to call everybody. It was, you know, call my wife, call my parents. But it's at the same time, like, you can't really celebrate because it's not public yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, you know, you can't get excited with your teammates because it's like there's media in the room. So it's like if they get a hold of it, then they're going to leak it. And so, like, the whole time you're like, God, I just want to jump through the roof. But it was awesome, man.
Yeah.
And, like, I got called up and then I met the team in Cleveland.
Wow.
And so, like, I went to the team that I knew everybody because I was just with them the year before.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool, man. It was awesome. I didn't pitch for like a week up there, which at the point I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, then you make your debut, and it's like, and then you get sent down right after that.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty awesome because your big league career just kind of took off.
It did.
We're sitting here looking at a couple of World Series rings.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, this one is from 2013. You know, I didn't pitch that much in the season. I was 2-0. I think I pitched like 4 or 5 games, but, you know, if you're in the roster for one day, you get a ring.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a great year, unbelievable teammates. I learned a lot from the guys on that team. We had a lot of veterans that just poured into the younger guys, and it just helped you kind of understand what it's like on a day-to-day basis to be a Major League Baseball player.
Wow.
You know, it's not as glamorous as people see on TV because all you see is what's on TV. You don't see what's behind the scenes. You know, the travel is great, but you're still traveling through the night.
Yeah.
You're still having to play every day, and you're expected to go out there every single day and be the best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's not easy. It's not as easy as people think, but, you know, there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so they taught me a lot.
What's
and then,
that ring?
This is from last year.
Last year.
So this was another crazy year. You know, I started the year, unfortunately, I got suspended for some not good things off the field, and it was hurt a lot. You know, I had knee surgery at the middle of 17. I just could not bounce back. But when I pitched, I did really well. I just could not. My knee it was just so hard because I had a lot of stuff going on in there, so I had to get surgery again after that last off season, and so. But it was still a great year. We broke a lot of records as a team, so a lot of individual records were broken, but most importantly, it was team records.
Yeah,
you know, like that's what baseball and sports is about. It's about the team.
Yeah.
And when you come together as a team, you put yourself in a position to win a ring.
I love it.
And, you know, obviously that's ultimate.
And it says inside there, damage done.
Damage done.
Was that the motto
do
from last
damage,
year?
do damage. And when you win it, the damage was done.
That's awesome. I bet you guys had a great time.
Oh man, it was fun, man. We have a good group of guys, good group of leaders on the team. You know, and it's everyday work and everybody grinding on a daily basis. It didn't matter what your job was. Like, everybody did at best at their job as they could do, and it showed. You know, it showed on the field, it showed off the field. And, you know, everybody got together, and everybody liked each other for the most part.
That's great.
But yeah, it was a fun year, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, well, tell me was there any coaches or mentors along the way in your baseball career that really shaped you personally or in your faith that really had a huge impact on you?
Frank Pastore was probably the guy. I mean, I met him when I was 9 years old, when I started taking lessons from him pitching-wise. You know, he was a big-time atheist, you know, growing up. He'll say, you can look at his sermons, that, you know, his testimony, he always thought, you know, whoever dies with the most cars wins.
Wow.
You know, that was his motto, you know, and he had a career-ending injury. And then the crazy Christians were praying for him, and that's when he kind of opened his eyes to like, wow, like, these guys aren't as crazy as I thought. They're actually, like, talking to somebody.
Wow.
And so he was the guy that, then he got saved and started going to Biola and all that. So his story is awesome, and I highly encourage everybody to read it because he ended up passing away the day I got put on the 40-man. So he's never even seen me play in the big leagues.
Oh.
And so it's always a bit. That's why I wear number 35, to try to
Wow.
honor him as much as I can, because he was the guy, like, not only baseball-wise, but marital-wise and with godly things, because, he was the guy on the other side, so he knows all the stuff that's going to happen. So he was the one that helped prepare me on all aspects of the game to know what I was going to encounter when I got in there. And obviously, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win.
Yeah.
But the one goal is, like, you're always trying to go towards God.
Yeah.
And he was the one that I knew I could always turn to for advice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he was like that. I mean, a little bit of his story, right? He was an atheist, and God radically transformed him, and then he had a whole ministry.
Overnight, dude. They told him to read 3 books. It was Mere Christianity, Evidence That Demands a Verdict, and More Than a Carpenter. And they said that within a week, after he read all those, halfway through Evidence That Demands a Verdict, he gave his life to Christ. He goes, and then by the time he got done reading, he met back with those guys and said, when I asked you this, you should have said this. And he goes, I was 2 weeks old in Christianity, and I preached my first sermon. He goes, and then it was like, and he was so smart that way. Like he could retain and apply everything. He just was brilliant. He was, theology, went to, got his doctorate in theology. And so, like, he was just really smart. So he was really good at telling you you're wrong without making you feel small. And it's a gift.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do that.
Right.
And that's why he started his radio station, is because he just had that ability to take political things, like he would have Muslims on the team, like, teach us, like, obviously we're Christians, they know that, but it's like, how should we approach whatever's going on in the world? And he just was amazing to sit there and listen to him talk. And I got to go on the show a couple of times with Shannon, and because I've been around the world, and you see things. I feel like we get lazy in America on our faith, to be honest with you, because everything is so easily accessible. It's like when you go to, like, Kenya, I've been there a couple of times. I've been to Venezuela. I've been to the Middle East, and it's like sometimes that's all they have is faith. They don't even have a Bible.
Right.
And it's like, but they have faith, and it's like they don't even know that they're worshiping Jesus. They just know that there's something bigger beyond where we're at, and they're being crucified for that, and we just get lazy here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but
wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, Stephen. How did you keep your faith strong? Because, I mean, in professional athletics, I mean, you've got a lot of temptations. There's a lot of things that are going on. There's guys that you're hanging out with at the clubhouse, and some probably are Christians and probably a lot aren't, but you're away from your family, you're traveling, you're away from church. How did you keep your faith strong throughout these
I mean, I've had
seasons?
a lot of bumps and roads along the way. I mean, it's real easy if you're not in, prayer on a constant basis, because you are who you hang out with. And it's really tough. It's real easy when you're in the limelight to go over here, go over there, and unfortunately, there was times that me and Shannon did, and it's like, and we could always tell when we were getting away from God, because then we started.
Wow.
It was like, it wasn't like, outwardly, it was between me and her. We started bickering more against each other, started fighting over things that literally meant nothing, or it's like did not see the things that mattered to her, because it didn't matter to me as much. So I thought, oh, whatever, and then that caused a fight. But a lot of it is just trying to just read your Bible, which I'm not very good at, and I'll admit that, but I try to pray as much as possible. I try to read as much as I can. And honestly, it's tough. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And it's like, and I just try to tell myself, like, if it's a team event, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
If it's not a team event, like, do I really need to go? Do I really need to go and put myself in those situations? I think that's what really changed over the every year that I've been in the big leagues. It's like, the first year is like I wanted to go everywhere. I didn't want to miss anything, because it's like you just don't know how long it's going to last. because like guys are come and guys go. And it's like my second year, like I was a little bit more comfortable to where I can be like, no, like I don't want to go. And then now it's like, I don't need to go out. Like I don't need to do that. Like that's not me. Like I always regret when I do that. So why am I going to put myself in that position to even be tempted to do anything that I don't want to do? Because I'm going to regret it. And then it's going to affect what I do on the field. So then it's going to give me a higher opportunity to not be here. And so I just kind of just distance myself from doing all that. And you still have fun and stuff, but there's ways to do it to where you're not really jeopardizing anything. And I really try to tell myself, would I do it if Jesus was sitting next to me?
That's good.
If Jesus was sitting right next to me, would I be doing what I'm doing? Because that's the easy thing. When nobody's there, nobody's watching, right? But then if you have that mentality of, what would I be doing what I'm doing now, whatever it is, if Jesus was sitting next to me? You know, if the answer is not a definitive, I would invite him to come with me, then you're probably not doing or thinking or whatever what God would want you to be doing.
Well, I know just from walking with you and talking to you and over the past few years, just seeing your faith, it gets stronger all the time. And I know you're in the Word. I know you're praying, and I know there's challenges that you face. But I just encourage you in that, and I think you're exactly right. That as we mature, we're like, I don't want to put myself in these positions. You know?
Totally.
How is because you married an incredible woman. Shannon's great. You have great kids. How have you and Shannon stayed strong in your marriage, and then even being parents with you traveling a lot and on the road? And
I'll tell you what, man, she's the one that's kept it. She's the glue. I mean, a lot of people don't know, the first time I met Pastor Jeff, he bailed me out of jail. And I said, that's what pastors are supposed to do. And that's why I was like, whatever, because I owe this guy a lot. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it, there's a lot of stuff going on. None of it's public, and it doesn't need to be public. But what's going on. Is like the only thing I can say is, yes, there was a lot of marital problems, but that's not why what happened. What happened was because of me. I was trying to fix everything myself. I wanted to be control, and I lost it. I lost control. My career was in jeopardy, then my marriage was in jeopardy, and there was so many, my parenting was not very good at the time, and all that was secondary for me trying to do my own thing. I got away from God. I stopped praying. I stopped reading my Bible because I was frustrated with God. I was so mad at God because I'm like, how could you do this? Everything was so good in 16. Financially it was good, baseball-wise good, maritally was good, and then it's like, boom, one small turn, and now my career's in jeopardy, and it's like, why? And it just blew up on me. It literally I look back on it now, and it's like, there was so many times God brought people into my life. Brought you, brought my home group, brought my trainer. So many people were there. My best friend was willing to fly out, and I'm like, no, I just shut everything down as I got this. And I didn't. And it took me getting arrested and me going down to where I'm like, I remember sitting in jail like, what am I doing? And it still wasn't easy. Like, it was hard, but then it's like, the time, because of the court orders, ordered me, I couldn't see my kids. I couldn't see my wife. And it was Christmas time. And so I started praying. I started praying. And within a week, court threw it out. Because, theoretically, there was really nothing bad. But I understood why the cop saw what he saw and was like, we got to remove him. And it is what it is. I'm not upset about that at all. But it took that moment to where I'm like, it was like, and it sucks that most people have to have that. And it's like, luckily for me that it wasn't as bad as the media made it seem, but to me it was horrifying. Because I'm such a private guy, and it's like, next thing you know, my whole life is out there for everybody to read. I mean, you Google my name and you see my mugshot pop up, and it's like, but for me, it's like, but Shannon was the one that was there. She had no reason to stay, and yet she was there. And it's like, and I love her even more now than I did then, even through everything, because I'm like, man, I was like, that's a godly woman. That is a godly woman, and I need to try to be a godly man, and I'm not even close to where she is, but I'm trying. I'm trying to chip away, and because then that's the kind of faith through everything I did to her, said to her, and just the dumb things that I did. And it was all like just mental, like me just trying to like, because I could never understand how she could be the way she is with everything going on.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. I was blinded. And then it like finally was like, dang, she's just so close to God.
She's so
And I heard I heard an analogy the other day. It was a dad trying to explain how big God is. And it's hard because people don't understand. And like, and sometimes I lose reasoning of how big God is. Yeah. And he takes his son outside and he looks up at a plane. He goes, how big is that plane? He goes, oh, the plane's a little small. He goes, okay. Takes him to an airport. He goes, that's the same plane. Now how big is that plane? Plane is huge. And the dad was like, see? He goes, God is how big, I don't want to choose. God is as big as close as you are to him. So the closer you are to God, the bigger God's going to be in your life.
Wow.
The further away he is, the smaller he's going to feel. He goes, it's the same God, but it all depends on how close you are to him. And I'm like, dang, like that's
good.
It's like, yeah, that's what I always like, with baseball, it's like, if you want to really learn something, teach it to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's when you start remembering all those little quirks that got you to where you're at, but you forget about them because you're better. But it's like, well, you still got steps to get you there.
So how is like that time of coming out of jail, that moment, and saying, okay, I really want to kick it in now. I want to be a godly husband and father. How has that impacted your marriage and with you as a dad?
I think it's done a lot, man, because like I was always short with them, and I still need to get patience. But like it just realized I like, man, like I don't want to screw this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't like, like I love these kids to death, but it's like, a lot of the problems in the world is like, people growing up with no dad, father in the household, no leader. And it's like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be their father, but it's just a father figure. And I'm like, man, I was like, and I started seeing things that my kids were doing. And I'm like, where did they learn that? And then I started thinking of like, dang, like they learned that from me. The short temper, and it's like, man, like I got to work on myself. Like I can't yell at them when it's me they're learning it from me.
Wow.
And so it's like, I'm constantly trying to like catch myself.
Yeah.
And Shannon's the same way. We always were like, because you start, now that their kids are getting older, you start stuff that you say all the time, your kids are saying, you're like, man, like I need to stop acting like that, and it's like, and so it's like, it's just really opened my eyes. It's like, man, like life is bigger than just me.
Yeah. Life is bigger than just me.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like I've been in my little bubble. It's like, because everything's about me, like baseball, like I got to play baseball. I got to work out. And it's like, yes, like I have to do all those things as my job. But at the end of the day, it's my job. It's not my life. It's just what I do.
Right.
And it's like, I'm always God, country, family, job. And I was like, and it's kind of got shuffled there for a while, but I'm trying to realign them.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you can see it. I mean, you have great kids.
They're awesome,
They're
man.
awesome.
Like, I couldn't ask for better kids, man.
Yeah. Now, how have you made church a priority just in your life? Because I've seen you and Shannon really grow in that area too, in your faith.
I think, because of how busy we are, like, and how I know I'm not in the Word as much as I need to be, I can be at church.
Yeah.
That's one thing I know is like I can come Wednesday nights at church with the men's Bible study. I can serve. That's another thing is like I started doing is like I've never served at church before. And like, and I've always, a pastor of mine back when I was in Arizona, he always said, if you're not serving, you're swerving. And it came to me, I'm swerving.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I wanted to try to give back as much as I can. And so I came to Sarah Hunter and I said, where you need me? I was like, I'll do whatever. I was like, I don't want to do it with the kids. I was like, I don't have the patience. I'm working on that. And they were like parking. So I said, all right, throw me out in the parking lot. That's cool. And so like I started serving. And it's like, then like I'm trying to surround myself with people that are wiser than me because I want to be that for somebody else, and I can be for somebody else right now, but I want to keep growing and hopefully they kind of grow with me.
Yeah.
And so, I just try to me and Shannon both try to make it a priority. Like last night, like we did not want to come. And I told her, I was like, one thing I know about baseball and workouts is like, those last 5 reps you don't want to do, those are the ones you need to do.
Wow.
And I was like, and that's how it is right now. I was like, yeah, I was like, right now we're not feeling well. It's like it was a long weekend, a lot of stuff going on because I'm having surgery and all that stuff. And I'm like, we need to go. Like, I trust me, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I was like, but all I can say is I can recognize is this an opportunity that's when we need to go. We need to be around people that are godly people. We need to learn as much as we can. I was like, even if we don't learn anything, we're around people.
Yeah.
You know, just going, physically being there. I was like, eventually God will take over the mental part. And I was like, and it was great because then Ella comes in and is like, I want to go to church. And I'm like, yeah. And then Lucas is like, I want to go. And that's the thing. It's like, I think whatever it is in life is being consistent with it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's trying to be as consistent as possible. And then the more consistent you are, the better you're going to get. You know, it's like you don't wake up one day and be good at something. I mean, I guess some people are, but they're the 0.01%. But you just like, it's consistent. Let's see, whether it's working out or your job or baseball or whatever sport you're in. It's like the more you do it and the more focus you put into that work, the better you're going to get.
Exactly. And we're all a work in progress, right?
Everybody
and, you know, for all of us,
yeah.
we can all grow, and we all need to be around godly people, and we need to be in the Word and praying, and we need to be in church and community.
Absolutely.
And then you get better over time, right?
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
it just grows you.
And I think you start, like, I think my biggest fear was, like, you know, and I still, like, I read the Bible, and, like, I'm sitting there reading it, and I know we've had conversations of, like, dude, I don't even know what I'm reading. You know, you start with the Gospels, and they're great, and, like, I read them, but it's like, well, most of them you already know because everybody knows Gospels that are in the Christ. But it's like, I don't know, but it's like I keep trying to read it. Like, I just, like, you know, even, like, I've gotten it down to where now I try to read, like, smaller portions.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I'm reading the Bible, sometimes I get to the point where I feel like I'm just reading another book. And I don't want it to be that, you know, and it's like, and I know some people can sit there and read all day. For me, I'm like, I just can't, because then I forget what I'm reading. And it's like, and two, it's like, I feel like it's like, I'd rather start with, like, you know, a portion, you know, maybe a chapter. And then it's like, okay, like, and I'll have to read it 2 or 3 times just to kind of pull things out. I'm like, and even then I like walk around, I'm like, I don't even know what I read. But I'm keep reading it. I'm like, I don't know, maybe they say it's the book of life, and it is. I 100% believe that. But sometimes, like, I feel like it's just, sometimes I feel distance of the life of it, but, like, I always feel better. It doesn't matter whether I read it and I'm like, I don't know what the heck I just read. Like, I don't know, you know, I just read Genesis, and it's like, it's a genealogy, you know, book. And I'm like, I don't know what I read, but I read it, and it's like, but I always come out and I always feel like I feel so much better. Cause it's like, even though, like, earthly me doesn't understand it, like, it's still there. It's still in my brain, even though I can't sit here and just throw it at you. And, like, in evidence that demands a verdict, I know we talked about earlier, like, that is, it's something, because I'm a huge history guy. I love history, and just the history behind the Bible and the evidence that's out there is just insane.
Unbelievable.
That it just kind of just piques my interest more, and that book is helping me understand a little bit more of the history, because I know for a long time I've read the book as today's world. But you got to take yourself out of that and say, okay, this was written to the people of the time, but it still pertains to us. And I feel like that's where it takes a gifted person to try to correlate that. But that's why you still got to read it, and you still got to, and I think that's what's great is you're trying to figure it out, and evidence that demands a verdict has opened my eyes to, like, wow, like, it makes sense now on why certain books are written the way they are. And that's where, like, the life is starting to come. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
I do encourage, I mean, every guy watching, I mean, you know, the books you mentioned, Mere Christianity and More Than a Carpenter and Evidence That Demands a Verdict are great books, you know, or even guys who are struggling with faith or have somebody in their community or around them in their neighborhood or workplace. Those are great books to give.
Unbelievable. Mere Christianity is a little tough, though, because it's, you know, C.S.
Case
Lewis.
For Christ is like...
Case for Christ, I think, would start with that one. Because Mere Christianity, it's a British author, you know, C.S. Lewis, who's a
brilliant.
God, like, that guy's unbelievable. But it's very hard. Like, I took a British literature class in high school, and I still, like, it's just the wording. Like, it's very hard because, like, it means, you know, it's just not American. We don't talk like that. So it's sometimes, and it's so, I mean, it is so, like, so unbelievably detailed
Yeah.
to where you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, sometimes it's just a little too much. And evidence that demands a verdict can be like that, but if you get the book, it's like a textbook.
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's like, and that's what it's meant to be. It's like, right now I'm reading the part where it's like, did Jesus exist? Like, not is Jesus of the Bible exist. It just did a man named Jesus exist. And the evidence is just overwhelming to the point where, like, why would you even question it?
Yeah.
It's like it's all over religious history and it's over historical history.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, to me, it blows your mind. But More Than a Carpenter is great.
Oh,
it's a short read and it's just like straight to the point.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, give us 2 takeaways just for guys out there. Maybe they travel with their job. Maybe there's a lot of stress going on, which you go through and been through. Maybe just even family-wise. Give us a couple of takeaways. What would you say just to encourage guys out there watching?
I mean, just stay faithful. Stay in the Word, stay in prayer. I think sometimes it's hard because we get busy, but you're never too busy to pray. Yeah. You can make excuses on reading the Bible, and I understand that because I mean, I've been there. You're traveling, you're constantly, you try to get as much sleep as you can, but you can always pray. I mean, a 10-second prayer can go a long way. Yeah. And in the family, it's like family's got to come first. And I never did until those last couple of years. And I'll tell you what, like, family's got to be first, because it's like, they're the next generation. Yeah. And it's like, and if you can tell yourself, no matter how busy you are in your job, if you can show them that family is first, they're going to understand when you're gone, because you still got to work. Like, and they understand, like, they have the life they have because daddy works or mommy works. And so it's like, but if you're not there when you're there, then that's when the relationship starts to fall back. And that's how it was in my life. It's like everything was mommy. Everything was mommy. They got in trouble with mommy. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, I'm here too, but was I? Was I there? Yeah. Like, I might have been there physically, but I wasn't there, like, they need the attention. They need the love that they show. And I think that's the biggest thing is, like, stay in prayer, try to read the Bible as much as you can, and just be there. Be present in the moment when you have that time, because it goes by fast.
Wow, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Hey, one last question. What do you want your legacy to be?
I thought about that a lot, and it's always been, I want to be the best baseball player. I want to be the guy that wins the MVPs, and it's like, and I got rings, I got, all-stars, and it's like, you know what, like, I honestly, like, I love that stuff. I care about it. But I want everybody to always look at me and be like, man, he was different. Like, he was different. Like, he treated me the same. And I always try to tell kids, I was like, kids that come up to the big leagues, I was like, you need to treat the GM of this team, how you treat him is how you treat the person that can do nothing for you. And I was like, because if you can treat the person that can do nothing for you, that the person that can do everything for you, I was like, you're going to have good relationships with people. Yeah. And I was like, and if I can, even if I don't get an opportunity to share about God, like, they're going to know something's different. Like, man, he was a good teammate. He was awesome, and it's like, and I want my legacy to be that, like, man, there was something different about him. And then I hope that they ask me what it was, and then that can open the door, because it is hard for you just to come out and share God, because the moment you mention Jesus, like, we had the question the other day, is like, why does the cross offend people? I don't think the cross offends people. I think the name of Jesus does. Yeah. That's because everybody knows Jesus, and the moment they block it. Yeah. And so, like, I want my legacy to be like, man, like, he was a man of different. He was different than everybody else. And then hopefully that follows with, he was a man of God. And if I can pass that on to my kids, and then it's like, I think that's a win.
That's a win. That's a win. Oh, Stephen. Hey, let me pray for us, guys. Father God, thanks for today. Thanks for Stephen. Father, thank you for his life. Thank you, God, for the way that you have been with him through all the years, God. And Lord, I just pray a blessing on him. I pray a blessing on Shannon and on the kids. And I pray that, God, people would see him as different, and they would see a man after you, a man who loves you, who loves your son, who follows you all the days of his life. I pray for every man watching. I pray that we would be men after your heart. I pray that we'd be present with our families, God, that we wouldn't get distracted. And I pray that we'd be men of prayer. So thank you for this time, and God, for speaking to me, for speaking to all of us today. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Amen. Wow. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Stephen, thanks for being here for the interview. It was great.
Anytime.
You crushed it. Hey, be check it out on Friday, the Man Minutes. They come out every Friday, and then we'll be watching next month for our next podcast. So thanks for joining us today. Have a great day. God bless. So.